Hey guys, welcome back. Here with another video, and this is going to be a news slash update type video. I have a few talking points I want to go over. The first is going to be in regards to the probation glitch fix that I was using on my Northwestern Dynasty. Something in my mind told me, Tony, sim this thing for 5, 6, 7 years and see how it turns up. Since we're using a tool to update files in a game that were never meant to be updated or changed, I just felt the need to try to go that route and take it a bit further. Usually I would test for maybe 2 or 3 seasons and everything would look good. I'm like, okay, no issues. But I was speaking with a couple of guys over at the Operation Sports forums, and guys with a lot more knowledge on how to mod this game than I have. But the one thing that kept coming up was these guys weren't testing these results long term. And these guys go through the trouble of editing conferences and setting up bowl playoffs, all kind of stuff these guys do. But I notice a lot of times these guys don't simulate for the long term. So I decided to do that myself. And unfortunately, I have some bad news regarding that. The simulations work fine up until about season 4. But right when season 4 starts, you start seeing some weird anomalies. You start seeing things like during the simulations, you start seeing like all the games that are played during that season are usually low scoring, or if there's a high scoring game, it'll be one team scoring 35 points and the other team being shut out. I kid you not. I would say about 40% of the games that were simulated by the time season 4 rolled around were shutouts. So as I was watching those simulated scores, I knew something was wrong. So by the time I got to the end of season options, I attempted to go to the Heisman watch list and the game crashed. So every time I would try to get past that season 3 into season 4, the game would crash. I immediately knew that this was due to the updates that I made to the discipline of all the players, where I gave all the players in the game A+ discipline. Obviously, this game wasn't designed for all the players in the game to have that discipline rating, but I think the bigger issue is using that editor. Anytime you edit something that's not meant to be edited, you're going to have issues with the game. And I found that out even with minor stamina edits that I was trying to make in my Dynasty. Editing any player attributes or ratings or anything like that inside of a Dynasty will cause the game to crash by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th season. So with that said, that particular fix that I was using is on the shelf. I mean, it's dead. I'm glad I never made a tutorial video about that. Actually, I was preparing to do it, and that motivated me to test the fix long term. Now, it does work up until the time where it doesn't work. So just to give you guys an idea of how well it worked, within that first 3 seasons that actually simulated properly, there was only one team on probation, and that team happened to be our conference rival, Illinois. So compared to the many teams that are normally on probation without making the edits, I would say that was a pretty big drastic change, I would say. But unfortunately, the fix doesn't work long term, so we have to abandon that. With that said, me being the person I am, I always like to find a silver lining. So what is that silver lining, you ask? Well, I simulated about 5 or 6 seasons, just regular seasons, no edits, just the regular game. Nope, not messing around with it at all. And I kid you not, there are a ton of teams on probation. I didn't count how many out of the 119 or 120 FBS teams, but there were quite a few on probation. If I had to guess, I would say about maybe 20 to 25%. Maybe that's even a stretch. I would say maybe between 15 to 20% of the teams were on probation. But here's the good news. The vast majority of those violations result in only a loss of 5 scholarships over a 2-year period. And the worst case scenario was, I believe, FAU, Florida Atlantic University. They lost 15 scholarships over 3 years and they were banned from a bowl game. So out of all those teams over a 5 or 6 year period, only one team had a significant sanction, in my opinion. And as other people have pointed out, mainly my man Al over at Playbook Gamer, this in a way can work as a positive because the AI doing recruiting has a tendency to assign too many players that they have to cut anyway. So what I noticed was during those recruiting simulations or those season simulations, the CPU teams, obviously with the sanctions, would sign maybe 18, 16, 15 players, maybe 20 players at the most, instead of the normal 25 players that they would usually sign. So I think that would add a bit of balance when you compare the fact that it's difficult for the human player to even sign 25 guys. So in that respect, I don't think there's going to be an issue, but the only way to find out is if we take that journey and I go ahead and start another Dynasty fresh and just keep forward without looking back. And that is the doggone plan, I promise you that. All right, so that is water under the bridge. We're going to move on. Unfortunately, point 2 I have to make. That means the Northwestern Dynasty is dead. Obviously, I made a ton of edits with in regards to the player discipline in that particular dynasty. And that was the dynasty I tested that actually kept crashing. So I knew that there's no way to save that. So we're moving on from that. And, you know, RIP Northwestern Dynasty, but we're going to start something new and we're going to have a good time with it. The next point I want to make is actually a huge point. Home field advantage. Don't ask me why, but something got in me to start testing this. And it was really strange because I started messing around with this. I had a long work week last week and I would come home and I said, let me mess around with this. And about 2 or 3 days I went, you know, just for maybe 30 to 40 minutes of the free time I had, I would play around with the home field advantage. And a couple of days later, I started just noticing that I started to fall in love with it. I'm not a big fan of not being able to audible, but I think the positives that come with playing with home field advantage on outweigh the things I don't like. And that being, honestly, the main point is the in-game boosts and negatives that come along with that. At first, I hadn't played with home field advantage on for a long time, and I said to myself, it's probably not even worth it to see a +3, a +4, a +5 at the most at any given rating. I didn't think it was worth giving up the ability to audible. But as I played over the past few days, I saw swings as high as +10 and negatives as low as -9. So that is huge. I mean, if you can, let's take the CPU QB for example, where I think awareness for an AI QB is so important. Let's say there's a computer quarterback and he's got 65 awareness. He goes 7 for 8 and maybe throws a couple of touchdowns. And now all of a sudden he has +8 awareness or +10 awareness. You know, +10 awareness, that takes him to 75 awareness, which is above average. And that is huge. So I think those type of swings up and down adds a lot more variance to the game, which I like that. You know, some of the things that I didn't like, which motivated me to get into the sliders and things like that, like jump to snap and momentum. The reason what motivated me to start testing these sliders and quote unquote trying to fix the game was my dislike for a lot of these new features. But during that time, I started to embrace and actually love those features. So now my approach is I'm not trying to fix the game. The game doesn't need to be fixed. Jump to snap is great. Momentum is great. The reason why I feel that way is because I know how to manage that now. So yeah, home field advantage, that's back in play. That's back in play. Now keep in mind, that's going to change our slider approach in some way. And I've already made those changes for my upcoming Dynasty, which I plan on recording tonight because I'm going to stay up all night. I'm kind of a night owl. But yeah, so basically home field advantage is back in play. Just want to let you guys know that. And that's about it. That's about it. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and let you know that, yeah, give you that news and let you know that Northwestern Dynasty is going to be dead, but we're going to start fresh. I haven't decided which team I want to use, but yeah, the channel's not dead. I know I've been gone for a little while, but we're going to get it back rolling, and that's going to start. I plan on uploading that Dynasty video tomorrow before I go back to work on Friday. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Going with the shotgun here. He rolls left, looks, he fires. Caught! So the only man between him and the end zone makes the tackle. Perfect time for the play-action pass.
Well, here the defense is looking for the run, and the play-action put him in even a worse position. They just weren't ready for the pass.
We've got a 1st and 10. The Hurricanes come out in the ace formation. They go with a run. Clark tackles him for a loss on the play. 2-yard loss for the halfback. They line up at the 42. It's 2nd down and 12 to go. Cooper alone in the backfield. A little juke. Brown with a takedown at the 36-yard line. They call his number, and he carries for 6 yards. From the 36-yard line, it's 3rd down. Miami lines up with 3 receivers. Look at the throw. Steps up in the pocket. Incomplete.
He's just lucky that he got that pass away.
The offensive line didn't protect the quarterback very well. The pressure was there in no time.
So it's 4th down, and the offense is still on the field. The defensive back's moving in closer. Drops back to pass. He steps up, looking. Number 9, fumble. Youngblood scoops up the fumble. And that's the end of the 1st quarter, and there's still no score.